and not knowing physics very well. Let me give you an example. Let's say I designed this phone as an engineer. Two accurate facts are seen clear here. Firstly, if I'm its designer, it means I pre-existed this phone. And secondly, I'm not dependent on the rules I set up on it, because this is a phone and I am a human. We are different natures. As in the example, Allah created the universe, so Allah existed before the universe. And secondly, Allah isn't dependent on rules of time and space, which He established for the universe. So as a matter of course, it doesn't make any sense, and it's a contradiction to ask who created Allah about the creator who isn't limited with time or space, as the question is related to the past time. In addition, let's say it's raining outside and everything on the street got wet. You can say that the wetness of the street comes from the water, but we wouldn't ask something like, if the wetness on the street comes from the water, where does the wetness of the water come from? Right? Because wetness of the water is its innate characteristic. It originally is wet. It's the source of wetness. Just like that, we see the creatures and we can ask that, who creates these creatures? But we wouldn't ask something like, who creates the creator? Because Allah is an originally existent one. Just as the water doesn't need anything else to wet it, Allah doesn't need something to bring it into existence.
Did Allah need to create us?
The concept of need can only be thought where there is inability. For example, I need water. Why? Because I have a state of inability. But Allah has infinite power. That means Allah doesn't need anything. Let's imagine this place was completely bright. Could we talk about any shadow or levels of darkness? No, we couldn't, right? As in the example, as inability cannot intervene in Allah's infinite power, there aren't any degrees for His power. So the concept of need is out of question.
Then why did He create why He didn't need to?
At this point, we should clarify that the entire creation is a manifestation of the divine names and attributes of Allah. For example, Allah has the names of Al-Hakim, Ar-Rahim, Al-Jawad. The name Hakim requires creating things in the wisest and the most useful way. Since Allah has this name, we can say that creating the universe in the most proper and useful way is a manifestation of this name. The other name is Ar-Rahim, which means merciful and compassionate. As Allah had endless treasures of beauty, He wanted to design a universe where He could these treasures, such as feeding humans and animals with delicious foods, as a manifestation of His name Ar-Rahim. And Allah's name Jawad, it means generosity. And we see that Allah feeds His creatures with a plentiful generosity.
That's okay, but people are also asking, is Allah, hasha, egoist?
The concept of egoism is considered with two definitions. The first one is selfishness, and the second one is pretending to have something one doesn't have, or showing it as more than one has. However, these two definitions don't suit Allah. The first one was selfishness. Allah created the universe and focused all its goods and uses on us. So we can't talk about any selfishness, right? Secondly, Allah doesn't tell us about anything He doesn't have. He says, I know all, and He knows. He says, I am able to create anything. I can create all, and He can. He is introducing Himself. So the concept of egoism is out of question for Allah. Egoism can only take place between similar natures. For example, an egoism can take place between you and me. I mean, we can argue who is better, who is the superior one. But when I come to this room, will it make sense if I tell the glasses that I am superior to them? It won't, right? Because they are glasses. It sounds ridiculous. Just like this, there can't be any egoism between different natures. So there isn't egoism between man and Allah. It would sound funny.
That's okay, He doesn't need, He isn't egoist. But I want to ask you, He created us, but why does He want people to worship Him?
We can't consider this as a need, of course. If we should say there is a need, this isn't for Allah, but for people. Yes, people need worship. We can say that people are spiritually ill. If a doctor gives medicine to a patient, this is exactly for the patient's own good. It doesn't have any benefit for the doctor. Then why does Allah want us to worship? As we are spiritually ill and have a great need for eternal life, we need to remember Allah all the time and are departing for eternal life in heaven. So Allah doesn't need our worship. And also, we were sent to this world for a big mission, which is knowing Allah. And with the duty of worship, we are guided to focus on this actual purpose of our lives, which is finding Allah. And in this way, we don't get drowned in temporary worldly occupations, and our souls can take a breath.
Our questions are over. Your answers was pretty good, but more questions are waiting for you in the next video.
There is